Hey everyone, this is Rochelle from Multiple Passive Streams of Income. In this week's video, I'll show you my HASHFLARE numbers and my HODL portfolio. And I want to talk about Bitcoin's price and some concerns if Bitcoin continues to hover in this $6,000, $7,000 range. And I want to end the video with some Ripple analysis as well. Now let's take a look at the 1 month chart of Bitcoin, and as you can see, Bitcoin is trading in that $6,000 to $7,000 range, with today's chart showing the price in the downtrend. In previous videos, I spoke about how the price of Bitcoin impacts the daily Bitcoin profit generated from mining. The lower the price of Bitcoin, the lower your daily Bitcoin returns will be. So the dilemma that mining faces is how long can mining facilities continue to mine and not be profitable? Now each mining company will be different, but it all boils down to the electricity cost in the country your mining company resides in. If mining continues to be unprofitable, mining companies will have to stop mining, which would stop the electrical cost. But what about the other costs like the rents, salaries, etc.? And how long can mining companies survive Bitcoin's low prices? And if mining companies have to lay low, at least until Bitcoin prices increase enough that they would create some profitability, how long can they survive, and would some or all eventually go bankrupt? In analyzing my daily HASHFLARE history, at Bitcoin's price, my daily Bitcoin payout is less than the HASHFLARE maintenance fee. So my account is losing Bitcoin at these current Bitcoin prices. Let's take a look at today's daily output. And as you can see, the daily output is less than the HASHFLARE maintenance fee. I look back to see when this started to occur, and it seems on June 11th was the first time that the daily output was less than the maintenance fee. So I went back to the Bitcoin chart on CoinMarketCap, and on June 11th, the price of Bitcoin was $6,774. So it seems that Bitcoin needs to trade above 7,000 for HASHFLARE to at the very least break even, and until then HASHFLARE accounts will be losing money. Now another concern is the US stock market. We have been in the longest bull run in history, and the question is, when will the market correct itself, and how will that affect crypto markets? Will people remove money out of crypto to compensate for monetary needs that would be caused by a stock market crash? Would investors move their money out of the stock market and into crypto to hedge the losses of a stock market crash? I mean, all of these questions are so interesting, and we are going to face them sooner or later because the U.S. stock market cannot continue to go up. At some point, there has to be a correction. Let's take a look at my HODL portfolio. Now, I bought BINANCE coin, which is BNB, last week. I actually didn't plan to buy it, but I was toying around with COINIGY, which is a cryptocurrency charting service. And it also allows you to integrate with crypto exchanges. So it allows you to basically trade from your COINIGY chart. And you're basically utilizing the exchange as your income source for your trades. So I went on to try to connect my Binance with my COINIGY. And then I wanted to, when I finally got it to connect, I wanted to test it. And I read somewhere that if you use BNB, the Binance coin, it makes your trades less. So I think you save like a half off of your trade fees. So I went and I bought some. So I tried to initiate a trade from COINIGY with my Binance account linked to COINIGY. And I kept getting repeated errors. So I emailed COINIGY and they responded back and basically said that Binance often blocks trades coming from COINIGY and they have no timetable when that could be resolved. So it ends up the reason why I purchased Binance Coin actually didn't materialize for what I wanted it for. So it ends up the reason that I purchased Binance was to utilize it to try to do a trade. Well, that didn't materialize, but I had also heard some good news about Binance. And so far, Binance seems to be solid and always kind of improving, like ahead of the curve almost. In fact, I just heard that they will be starting a decentralized exchange very soon. So with all that, I just decided to keep BNB in my portfolio. And as you can see on the screen, these are the other coins that I hold in my portfolio. Now, speaking of decentralized exchanges, there was recent news that Stellar Lumens, that's XLM, is also proposing to create one. I think they've already created, and it might be next month that it is introduced to traders. The coins I purchased so far are detailed on the screen, and you see I have XLM as well. And next week I'm gonna do another monthly transaction where I buy some altcoins so I can continue to grow my HODL portfolio. And I will update you as to what coin or coins that I'll buy next week. Now, lastly, I want to talk about Ripple. First of all, if you didn't notice, Ripple changed their emblem. So now all the tees and the hoodies that I sell at price-pop.com, I'm going to have to redesign them now because the old logo is no longer. So, oh well. Lately, I've been listening to another YouTuber who is really amped about Ripple. He goes by the name of Digital Asset Investor. And I like his content because he's an older gentleman. He has this really cool storytelling style, but he infuses it with some great content and a lot of food for thought. And I've added him to my playlist because he gives me detailed Ripple content and analysis. So definitely check him out, especially if you're interested in Ripple. I've always scratched my head about Ripple because it's the number 3 coin on CoinMarketCap, but yet it trades at, under $1. Like currently I think it's trading at like 49 cents. It has a clear-cut utility, which basically it bridges currencies faster and more safely than the system that exists today. That system is called SWIFT, and banks use it, and it usually takes 2 to 10 days for payments to settle. Now, Ripple payments, they settle in seconds, and they save banks money. So the Digital Asset Investor suggested a video created by another YouTuber. She goes by the name of Esoteric Trading Solutions Teaching Crypto Markets. That's the name of the channel. And I'll put a link to the video I'm talking about that she created. And it basically talks about how Ripple solves this slow, swift way of doing overseas payments. She explains how banks have to hold money in another account until payments are settled. She called these accounts Nostro accounts. She talks about this $24 trillion problem that banks around the world have. She explains the instant settlement solution Ripple brings to these banks and how the banks can save like 30 to 40% just implementing the X-current part of Ripple, and even more if they implement the XRP part of Ripple. And when you listen to that video, she'll explain what the difference is. And then she explains how Ripple will make money, which is them selling this system to the banks, implementing it, and running it for the banks. She also does a valuation of XRP. The banks have a $24 trillion problem. And she shows an example where she assumes Ripple will get 10% of the banks to sign onto their X-current system. She predicts 1 year Ripple NPV, which is net present value, and she predicts that that will be 12.4 trillion, and year 2 it'll be 33.4 trillion. And again, this is just with an assumption that they're able to get 10% of the banks to sign on. She explains when the crypto market has more institutional investors, and right now there's not as many institutional investment in crypto right now. But she explains when this happens and when the institutional investors do their valuations, the valuation she explains is that NPV evaluation, again, the net present value. And what it does is it measures the profits by evaluating the cash inflows and cash outflows. She also mentions interest and some other financial terms that was a little bit over my head. But ultimately, she predicts an XRP price of $125 in year 1 and $334 in year 2, based on those NPV evaluations, which institutional investors will drive the prices up to. Although the calculations may be a bit complex, this is really the first time I've heard some mathematical analysis on a coin's valuation and price. She absolutely knows how the current banking system works and how Ripple solves a $24 trillion problem, how stocks and bonds are valued by institutional investors, and how that value would be applied to Ripple, and her price prediction assumes only 10% of the banks initially sign on. Now, we also know all the partnerships Ripple has accumulated. We also know how closely Ripple has worked to be in compliance for future regulations, and how many of the Ripple main players are seated within important policy creating agencies. Before seeing this video, I always scratch my head as to why the number 3 coin price, I'm talking about Ripple, has constantly traded for less than $1. Yes, I know that it had went up to a little above $3 at one point, but for the most part, it stays in that under dollar range. So my question was always, are crypto investors so against Ripple because their utility solves a problem for banks, which the believer of a decentralized world despises? And so could that be the reason why people aren't really getting the value of Ripple? Then I'm looking at other coins with a website and a roadmap and haven't proven their utility yet, and they're trading higher than Ripple. Another continued theme of crypto is that this prediction of institutional money is coming. So are the stars aligning? Definitely check out the video and listen to the woman who has institutional banking expertise. Just listen to her break it down, and I obviously gave you a summary of what I heard in the video, but if you listen to the video, it will explain a lot better than my attempt here that I'm doing. But for me, it adds validity to something that seems very obvious, but Ripple's price, I don't know, it had me second guessing. Anyway, please share this video if you feel the content will be useful to others. Definitely subscribe, hit the notification bell to be alerted when I upload new content. This is multiple passive streams of income. As always, thanks for listening. Take care of yourself as well as others. Take care.